Afternoon, all of you, all the MSc students. So the today's topic is about classification of computer, or we can say the different types of computers. So as I told you, the computers what we are using are digital computers. So we can say the digital computers which are available are varying in their sizes and types. Sizes and types. So the computers are broadly classified into four. So the screen what you are able to see, you can just focus on this diagram here. So they are classified into four categories based on their size and type. So first one, microcomputers, mini computers, mainframe and supercomputers. So slow, cheap and simpler ones starts from the bottom and it goes in the cadre till fast, expensive and complex and large. Okay. So we'll see one by one. So microcomputers. So by the term micro itself means that it is small. So these are small computers with low cost, cheap. So if you see this line, so you can relate since at the starting of this ladder, so the first will apply. So uh, slow, cheap, that means they are at low cost and single user digital computers. So again I repeat, microcomputers are which are small, low cost and single user digital computers. They consist of, so these microcomputers are going to have CPU input, output, storage, and software. So you can just say about uh, the examples like the laptop. So I'll show you the examples of this and then we'll come back. So these are all examples of microcomputers. So the PC, laptop, netbook, tablet, PDA, smartphone. So all these comes under our first type of computers, that is microcomputers, which are digital computers. So if you see, yes ma'am, mute yourself, everyone. So first, if we see the first one, so PC, it is nothing but desktop computer or personal computer we say, which is most common type of computer which we are using individually. And it is a standalone machine. So that means it can work uh, without depending on anything by this equipment of all the three. So it can learn. So that is what standalone machine which can be placed on the desk. And this consists of, if you can see here, you just concentrate on the mouse cursor here, what I'm explaining. The keyboard, the monitor, and the CPU. Okay. So here, these computers can be used as a single user at home, small business units or organizations. Okay. So PCs all comes under for a individual standalone systems. But when we move on to laptop, or we call laptop also as notebook computer. So it's just like the notebook, how we can carry our books in our day-to-day bags. So the similarly, the laptop also can be carried. So that's why it's also called as notebook. Okay. So it's a reassembled notebook. A laptop is a reassembled notebook, and they are portable and have all the features of desktop. So whatever the features we are having in PC, everything we have in laptop, but it is just like a notebook and which is very portable and which is small in size, easy to carry and all. So, and we can also have battery backup, the functionality of the desktop, and the laptops also can be placed on your laps, on the desktops. And these are bit costlier than desktops. Okay. So this PC, whatever we are calling desktop machines, so laptops are bit costlier than this. Laptops, when we compare with the previous one, these are bit costlier machines. And when we go to netbook, netbook is something like uh, the some device which is in between the laptop and tablet. I hope all of you are very much familiar with what is laptop and tablet. Now you might be using for your classes either your laptop or tablet, maybe, or your mobile. Okay, so in between you have something called as netbook. So this netbook are small notebooks which are optimized for low weight and low cost, and they are designed only for web applications, maybe browser if at all you want to open, and if at all you want to search, or if at all you want to see some content. So all such things can be done in netbook. So surfing or browsing can be done using the netbook. So the word netbook was created as blend of internet and notebook. So whatever the content you can take from the internet can be browsed through this. So that's why it is called as netbook. So the next one we have tablet. So usually in our general terms in day-to-day life we say tab. So that is what tablet, and it has the features of notebook computer, but it accepts input from the stylus. So it is just like the laptop, some features, but here we are having a keyboard, but here we'll have stylus. Stylus means a pen like thing. Okay, stylus or a pen instead of keyboard or a mouse. And it is a portable computer, and tablet computers are the new kind of PCs. New kind of PCs, maybe based on uh, the cost you spend, the memory storage, processing, and all you may get. But this is the next version of laptop, but whatever the capability laptop can do may not be there in tablet, but the inputs can be done using through pen and all, but not exactly as the laptop. It's the another kind of laptop only, still lower grade of laptop we can see. And the next one is PDA. So full form of PDA is personal digital assistant. Personal digital assistant, or we also can say handheld computer. Handheld computer, and this is also small computer that can be held on top of the palm. It is that small in size, and instead of keyboard, even this use a pen or stylus, and they have some limitations. So limitations with respect to uh, the capability or the memory storage. Okay, so those are the things. And the next one, moving on to the smartphones. So these days everyone having a smartphone is necessary. So I hope all of you have this and you are using the same thing for your classes and all. So smartphones are cell phones that have the functions both as a phone and as well as small PC. So that's why we call it as smartphones. So all these things, these are the examples of microcomputers. So when we move on to the second one, mini computers. So as I told you, computer types are divided into four. First one is macro, micro, and the second one is mini. Okay, so now we are talking about the mini computers. So mini computers are the ones, you can see this picture in a larger view. So these are the mini computers. So what we can say about mini computers? So they are bit since it's in the second level of the ladder. So they are bit costlier when compared to microcomputers, and these are also the digital computers, but these are generally used for multi-user systems. Multi-user systems, and they have high processing speed, and also the storage capability is better than microcomputers, and these also supports the number of users. It can be more. Okay, micro, it's one or two, but here it can be more than 4 to 200. They can be grouped in order to do some achieve some task. So all these things comes under mini computers, and this is a setup of the mini computer. And then moving on to the next one, the third one, third type of computers, mainframe computer. Just concentrate on the diagram here. Okay, so the mainframe computer. Mainframes are multi-user and multi-programming high performance computers. Okay, and they are operating at very high speed. So in the ladder, since they are at the third position, so they are at high speed, and they are towards the maximum speed and high cost. So have larger storage capability to handle many kinds of works and many number of users. Okay, and a dump terminal cannot store the processing of its own. So here the terminal, only just terminal, it won't do. So something they are going to have intelligent terminal. So they are something like mainframe computers are like the inclusion of artificial intelligence and all. Okay, so maybe the robotics have started from this mainframe computers only. So mainframe computers are used in organizations like banks or companies where many people require frequent access. So that means uh, maybe if you have your Google accounts or Yahoo accounts, so whenever you are creating, maybe their servers are maybe in different countries. So different servers are connected, so then only you are able to access. See, how come the uh, persons who are abroad, when they come to India, they do shopping with their international cards. So since they are connected, so all such things can be done through mainframe computers. And then moving on to the next one, computers. So the diagram is missing here in the textbook itself. So when you just see the textbook, you can just refer to. So supercomputers are fastest. So they are first in the ladder towards cost and fast, and also in the speed. So supercomputers are fastest and the most expensive machines. They have high processing speed compared to other computers. So since they are in the first in the ladder, so when they are compared to others, so they are with high speed, and also the cost also will be more. The speed of a supercomputer is generally measured in flops. Flops is floating point operations per second. Floating point operations per second. And supercomputers are built by interacting thousands of processes that can work in parallel. So thousand number of uh, processes. Process means each system is will have some process to work. So such thousands of computers can be connected and work together. Maybe the international banking and all, we can talk about the supercomputers, and which are for highly calculations. Highly calculations, and they are majorly used in universities, military agents, scientific research laboratories and all. Okay, so these are the four types of computers, or the classification of computers. I'll just tell you the four things again, just brief them. First one is micro, mini, mainframe and supercomputers. Okay. So this is what we have studied under classification of computers. And the next one is, so the next heading you can write down the computer system. So after classification or types of computers, then you can write the computer system as one more heading. Okay. So under that, what we are saying, so already as we know the definition of a computer, it's an electronic device that accepts data. So accept data means what? So whatever you are typing through keyboard, it is accepting. The machine is accepting. Okay. So that we call it as raw data, as input. Whatever you type, that is called as raw data. And that is taken by the system. And once it is taken by the system, so what exactly the system will do inside? It is going to process here. Process based on the mathematical or logical operations on it, and it is going to give the desired output on to the screen. So in this scenario, in order to do this, achieve the definition of the computer as electronic machine which accepts the inputs, process and gives the output. So for that we need some of the parts. So what are they? Who are using it? So all that. So the computer system consists of four parts. The first one is hardware. What do you mean by hardware? The physical thing, what you can touch and feel. So the monitor you can see, the keyboard you can see, the CPU you can see. All that we can say it as hardware. Okay. Whereas the second one is software. When I say software, when you are typing the input as 2 plus 3 or 1 lakh plus 15 lakhs. Okay. So that addition, how it is doing inside the system. Okay. In order to do those, I'm just giving some example, but other applications, maybe BT students or chemistry, I don't know. Maybe some packages you have with respect to your domain. So in the systems, when you want to do those, so you are going to install that softwares. So softwares like NCBI, so we are going to open there, and from there, whatever the data sets we want, that we are going to take. Okay. So such things, in order to access some software means the logical parts which are developed and kept within the system. We cannot see that internally how the processing can be done. Okay. So that is what we call it as software. And then the third one is the data. So the data means through keyboard, what input you are giving to the system, that is data. And then in order to do all this, a user is needed. The one who has to interact with the system is needed. So these are the parts of the computer system. Okay. So the next subheading you can write down under computer system, first subheading. So you can write the input process output concept. Input process output concept. So here what it's happening, computer is an electronic device which is going to accept the data, that is through input keyboard what we are giving. Okay. And whatever is given through keyboard, it has to be processed. So processing the data what is given to that, and then it has to generate the output. So if you see this diagram keenly and just follow the mouse cursor while I'm teaching, so this is the fish notation what we say, the process, what exactly it is happening. So that is what we say it as input process output concept. When you give input, it will process and it will give output. Maybe for some machinery or something, without giving any kind of material, you cannot expect any end product. Raw material first you have to give, and that have to be processed, or in pottery or whatever, if you see, so they just take the molds, mud, and then that is, you consider it as input. And process means shaping it into different shapes in whatever, however we want. That is the process. And output is the end product. So similarly here also in computers, some input we have to give, some material we have to give for the system to do. So process is its work to do internally based on the softwares, whatever we might have fed in, and it will give the output. Okay, if I give 2 plus 3, so the addition operator will be done within the process, and the output it will come as 5. So that is input process output concept.